What's up, YouTube? This video is all about culture shock. And I'm not talking about the cold weather in Canada or the food. I'm talking about these things that you would not know until you live in here for a minute. I'm experiencing it. I'm sure there are many other people about to experience it too. So if you're living in Canada or you're planning to move to Canada and you want to hear some real world experiences, stay tuned for this video. So yeah, guys, the first thing I really experienced moving to Canada, and it just made me go like, wow, didn't know it was like that, was the fact that although it's multicultural and it's diverse, the cultures still kind of stick to their own, you know. And it sounds strange, right? Because Canada advertises this melting pot of people. But the reality is people stick to what they know. Unless you live in like in a really condensed area where you have to interact with certain individuals, people from different countries just stick to themselves. And especially for new immigrants who don't know anything or is not as adventurous or sociable, you're going to see that people from different countries hang out with each other and they rarely interact.
Wait a minute, who are you?
So it's culturally diverse, but it's not really inclusive for everybody. For example, you go to certain areas, you're going to see people from China, they're going to stick to their people. You see people from India, they're going to stick to their people. People from Africa and certain countries in Africa, they are not going to just be meshed together in most situations. And there are going to be some one-off situations where you're going to meet some nice people from a different country and you really develop friendships with them. But generally speaking, you're going to see people speaking in their own languages and they're hanging out with each other. So if you come from a small country, it's going to really be frustrating to get to know other persons because people are not as welcoming as advertised. And it's just my personal experience. You know, some others could have different experiences with people, but I know for me, studying as an international student, when I went into class, I saw it on the first day. You know, certain guys sit with each other and they didn't do any group projects with anybody else. They just stick to what was comfortable for them. So it could be really difficult if you're coming from a small country and you really want to interact and socialize with people. So my advice would be find activities that you really love and you're going to meet people that way. The second culture shock I experienced in Canada, I think, is the fact that college in Canada is not really the goal for most immigrants. And I know that may be a no-brainer for some people, but contrary to belief, many of us actually come to learn. But there are so many people who really just use college as just a gateway. And the educational system in Canada is amazing, but I think when you have so many people who are just trying to get in and get out, it really has an effect on the quality of education. And for me personally, when I went into class, I really wanted to do extremely well, and I had this perception that it's going to be extremely competitive. But in reality, a lot of students, they just come through and they just want a degree because they want to get the work permit, they want to get the PR. Rightfully so, you know, that's a part of immigration. But college in Canada, unless you go into like a top tier university, most of the technical schools, people are just in and out, in and out. So the schools know it, the communities know it, the government knows it. So my advice to international students is don't just come to graduate and get a work permit and PR, you know. Put some effort into your studies because you're paying like 5 times as much as anybody else. You might as well try to do your best in the class. And also pick a career that you're going to enjoy, not just come to Canada to get a piece of paper, just to get a job, because a lot of international students do that. And now that the economy is really being affected by everything that's going on, you don't want to just spend $40,000, $50,000 on a degree that you don't even like just to get status. You know, that makes no sense to me. I don't know, I could be wrong, but it's just logical. You know, try to do your best, try to integrate into the community and learn. The third culture shock I think I experienced is the fact that people are not as sociable and friendly as advertised, you know, especially when it comes to family. Families are not as connected as I thought they would have been, because I come from a place where especially the elderly. We really care for the elderly, and it's really like frowned upon to put your grandmother in a retirement home or something like that. But in Canada, there's just so many people, and family members move to different cities and provinces, and sometimes people tell me they haven't seen their grandparents in years. And that really shocked me, because grandparents are treasured, especially in the Caribbean. We really respect them and we care for them until death. So that was really strange for me, and family is really important for me. So it's difficult moving to a place where people are just on the go. Like, they don't really have time to stop and chat as much anymore. And especially now with everything that's happening, nobody really wants to get too close, we're trying to stay safe, socially distancing, and I think that's going to have an effect on the next generation, because we already have technology that's prohibiting people from actually having real conversations. So just imagine now, with that distance, people are already not as connected to family. It's going to be tough. So that was a culture shock for me, because having real life communication and connection with family is important, at least where I came from. So that's something I didn't really expect. Before culture shock, I experienced moving to Canada was just recognizing that work is work. Like, people don't really discriminate when it comes to finding a job, and that economical and social class is not really a big thing in Canada. Nobody cares about if you're wearing the latest sneakers or the latest clothes and stuff like that. The chances are you're just trying to stay warm. And I actually love that, because it gives people an opportunity to just live their life. You don't have to be worrying too much about material things. Like, some people, they live in a small basement apartment, or they live somewhere, they go to work every day, they save their money, or they do what they have to do, and they live privately. And even though it's kind of antisocial, it gives a lot of people room to just be themselves and not have to worry about always looking the best. Sometimes you're not going to look your best and you're not going to feel your best, but in Canada, nobody really cares about that. Unless you're going on a job interview, of course, you want to look the part, right? But for the most part, I haven't really seen a lot of that. Maybe in certain areas, clothes and shoes and things are important, but in the grand scheme of things, nobody really cares about what you're wearing. Just do what you gotta do. The final culture shock I think I experienced, and it made me really think about life, was the fact that people move to Canada for so many different reasons, and it made me more grateful for the fact that I had a great life in the Bahamas in comparison to so many people who I meet. Moving to Canada is like a do or die situation, and it wasn't for me. So it really made me more humble. It made me appreciate where I came from and what I had, because some people spend their last to move to Canada, and when they arrive, they don't have anything, and they literally start from zero. So if you're somebody in that type of situation, I salute you, man. And if you're somebody who is fortunate or well off and you move to Canada, you might realize that, hey, the life I left wasn't actually so bad, because they have so many immigrants in Canada that are struggling. And I also didn't know that. I thought that most people, when they move to Canada, they just live in the life. And that's the perception you hear when you're back home in your country. You don't know the reality of what it's like to live in Canada. So like I said, you have to be here to really see what's up. You just don't know until you get here, man. So that's culture shock. It was not the typical culture shock about the food and stuff like that, because I traveled some places, but there are just some things and nuances that you never really know until you get here, man. So thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more videos. It's been A Broad State of Mind.